Okay. Um, Let me go over and change the thumbnail. Over on the PC side. Oh, excuse me. YouTube Studio. Content. Live. And let's put that thumbnail on there. All right. There we go. Okay, folks. What is good? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Liquid Clay, and we are checking out Project Motor Racing from the PS5. I am streaming directly from the PS5. The reason I have to do this is because the last time I tried to stream Project Motor Racing through a capture card, there was a tremendous amount of latency between my wheel right here and what I was actually seeing on the stream or on the screen. So I am streaming directly from the PS5, and I am using the PS5 camera because no other cameras will work with the PS5. The proprietary shit that you have to go through with Microsoft and PlayStation with their hardware. So more or less, I'm just going to do a few laps around the corner, single player, because I do not have PlayStation Plus to go online, and I really don't have any interest in renewing it up until the news that came out today. I didn't know when or if I would even stream from the PS5 again, because for the most part, I've checked out of their ecosystem. I feel it's a lockdown ecosystem, and I think Sony has done some very small shady things ever since this generation started, but they've gotten more and more blatant with the shady behavior the past couple of years, to the point that there's just I just don't like being in this ecosystem. And my only reason up until Project Motor Racing came out, my only real reason for even needing PlayStation Plus was to play GT7 online on PSVR. So that's really the only reason I even bought a PlayStation in the first place, because I really didn't have much interest in their other exclusives because I was so entrenched in sim racing. And at the time that the PS5 launched, ACC was my favorite game, and it was in VR. And Automobilista 2 was my second favorite game, and it was in VR. So the theme for me was VR. Any racing game that I played had to have VR. So I didn't even want to buy a PS5 when it first launched, because I think there's a pattern with Sony that when new hardware launch, whatever the next iteration of the GT franchise is doesn't seem to come along until a year or two later. So in the case of the PS5, it launched, I believe, in November of 2020, and GT7 didn't come along until February of 2022. Like, what's that, like 13, 14 months later or something? So I wasn't even really interested in buying a PS5 day one. But once I saw how hard they were to get and what the scalpers was doing and all that kind of shit, I figured that I better get a PS5 when the opportunity presents itself. That's another story of how much shit I had to go through to get a PS5. Yeah, that's another story, but I got one, and I originally had no intentions of buying GT7 when it first launched because, shit, I think GT7 launched in February of 2022, and I think PSVR 2 support didn't come until a whole year later. So I'm basically buying a PS5 in 2020, and I didn't get what I was looking for out of it until 2023. And the thing about it was, I wasn't terribly excited about GT7 on PSVR 2, but I still bought it anyway because I wanted to complete my library where every racing game that I play has VR support. So, I mean, that's, coming back to that, that's going to be a story for another day. But that short story long diatribe was to explain that, yes, the GT7 on PSVR 2 was really the main reason why I bought a PS5, because if it wasn't for that, I can unequivocally tell you that if GT7 would not have gotten PSVR 2 support, where if Sony would have came out and said, no, GT7 will not have PSVR 2 support, I would not have bought a PS5. That I can tell you without question. So I guess I got to continue on to segue into the Project Motor Racing part. So, for those of you that's been following my channel for a while, I had been streaming PSVR. I've been streaming GT7 here and there, but I got a little more regular with it once it got PSVR 2 support. And over time, I came to like GT7 less and less because of the dirty driving. And I tried to do the single player thing. I just couldn't get into that menu shit. The game started to feel bland. And then when you go into the multiplayer, there's only 3 ranked races. Race A, I will never do because it's always like street cars, Toyota Corollas, flower trucks, SUV races, and shit like that. Race B is always a sprint race, regardless of what class it is. It's usually Group 3 or GT3 or Group 4, also known as GT4. And then there's the Group C race, which is a little more endurance based, where it might, depending on the track car combo, it could be anywhere from like 12 to 15 laps. And yeah, the car class is usually Group 3, Group 4, but they'll mix in some other stuff once in a while. But I found that to be bland. Only 3 ranked races. You combine that with the dirty driving, and GT7 just became less and less fun. I became less and less interested. Then you throw in the shady monetization tactics with GT7, the shark card-like economy that resembled Grand Theft Auto. And then you had the situation where where GT7 was offline for 36 hours because people were farming credits to avoid the crazy-ass microtransactions. And Sony tried to put in an update to shut it down, but it ended up taking the servers down for 36 hours. And Sony offered no explanation. They were quiet about it like they always are. When Sony does some shady-ass shit and people get upset about it, Sony just stays silent about it. Sony won't say anything or do anything about it until people threaten to leave. And And that's what happened with this 36-hour outage. You know, the big YouTubers were threatening to leave GT7. And then Sony finally came out with some bullshit ass explanation, gave everybody 1 million credits as an apology. And so you fast forward over the years, and like I said, you know, I became less interested in GT7. I found it to be bland, the microtransactions, the dirty driving, all of it. I just didn't want to do it anymore. In comes Project Motor Racing. You guys know how I feel about Project Motor Racing. I really don't have to go into that history. And I loved it on PC. There was absolutely no reason for me to buy it on PS5. But I did. I wanted to support the developers, and I wanted to compare the visuals of the PS4, the PS5 versus PC. And I would say that if you do PC at its lowest settings, the PS5 version looks better. But if you crank a PC settings all the way up, it looks noticeably better than the PS5. So I tried to stream Project Motor Racing on PS5, but as I was saying, the situation with the capture card and the latency and all that shit, it just wasn't gonna fly. So this is the first time I've streamed Project Motor Racing directly from the PS5 using the PS5 camera, that's a scam too. The PlayStation camera is a scam in a sense that before the PS5 launched, we already knew the PSVR 2 was coming, and a lot of us VR people was really excited about it. Over on the PC side, you had all the headsets over there. You had various forms of tracking, and people even had methods of full body tracking over on the PC side. So I believe that Sony deliberately let a patent leak out about the PS5 camera that could also be used for body tracking relative to PSVR 2. So I bought this camera in the belief that it would have full body tracking for PSVR 2, and it never happened. So they let that patent leak out to trick the VR people into buying the camera. And the patent also suggested that you would be able to use this camera to stream PSVR 2. You can do it flat screen, but you cannot use this camera to stream on PSVR 2. Once I put that PSVR 2 headset on, this camera will deactivate. So another shady shit from Sony that they got away with it back then, because the PSVR 2 user base was so small that the one or two people that cried about this shady shit fell on deaf ears. Nobody really heard or really cared. So this was the small shit that Sony had been getting away with this generation, because the voices that complained weren't loud enough. Strength in numbers. So coming back to Project Motor Racing, I bought the game. This is the port developers, and I love the game that much. Again, I had the issues with the capture card, yada 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 yada. I'm trying to figure out what order I want to get to this. So, EJR is streaming live right now. He went to the Sim Racing Expo in North Carolina this past weekend, and he spoke to Eris and some other Giants people, and he's talking about his experience there. So that's one of the reasons why I tagged him. Um, while he was there, he got to speak to Eris, and I guess he asked about the VR support because they did bring VR to the Sim Racing Expo this past weekend. And when he spoke to Eris, the subject came up of PSVR 2 support, and I guess it's still going to happen. Now, before Project Motor Racing launched, they specifically said that the VR would be there at launch for PC, but it would come on PS5 at a later date. And I guess this was one of the devs said this on Reddit, so that went viral. Shortly thereafter, they walked it back and said that PS5 would not get PSVR 2 support at this time. And the tinfoil hat in me figured that they originally planned to have PSVR 2 support for this game, but ended up walking it back because they probably got a phone call from Sony saying, no, you will not put PSVR 2 support on this game because GT7 will exclusively have PSVR 2 support. Because if you guys notice right now, on PSVR 2, GT7 is the only real racing game that has VR support. Any other racing game or motorsports game that has VR support on PSVR 2 is not a AAA racing game like GT7. It's indie games built from the ground up and something that's not a threat to GT7. So, I guess a couple of years ago, people were asking whether the F1 games would get VR support. Like F1, I think it was F1 24, I think in particular, because again, I think PSVR 2 came out in February of 2023. So naturally, I didn't expect F1 23 to get PSVR 2 support, although I was hopeful of it. The next year when F1 24 was coming out, EA specifically said they wanted to talk to Sony about adding VR support to F1 24 on the PS5. And the subject never came up again. Well, my guess is they talked to Sony and Sony told them no. The subject never came up again. So at that point, I had put two and two together that Sony just will not let any other racing game have VR support that could possibly be a threat to GT7. So when I heard that Project Motor Racing was supposed to get VR support, I'm like, how in the hell did they pull that off? And then they walked it back. And then I'm like, okay, that sounds about right. I'm thinking Sony probably called them and told them, no, you're not putting VR support on this game. And so I ran with the belief that Sony just will not, you could put anything else on PSVR 2, just not a racing game. And so we fast forward to this weekend, the Sim Racing Expo. Again, EJR, that's why I tagged him in here, because what I'm saying is coming from him, that he spoke to Eris. And yes, I guess PSVR 2 support is still coming. Just they can't say when. And I'll tell you right now, PSVR 2 support on Project Motor Racing is the only thing that will bring me back into the PlayStation ecosystem. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm out. I might still buy a single player game if it's on sale, just so I could have a reason to use my PS5. But in terms of spending money on PlayStation Plus, I pretty much checked out. I did a couple of 1 month things. When Gears of War Reloaded came out, I bought the 1 month membership so I could play with my son, using crossplay. And then when Project Motor Racing came, I bought the 1 month membership a couple of times so I could race Project Motor Racing online. And the PC version is superior to the PS5 version. So it started coming to a point where, like, you know, it's almost no point in playing the PS5 version. Um, but now that it appears that it's going to get PSVR 2 support, yes, that would be enough to bring me back into the ecosystem. Because like I said, Sony's been pretty fucking shady these last couple of years, to the point where it's just been disgusting. Multiple uh, multiple price hikes with hardware and services and controllers, walking back their rewards program, basically taking it back without saying anything. And they try to do shit under the radar. Every shady move Sony does, they try to do it quietly and hope nobody notices, but somebody will find it and it blows up and goes viral. And then, like, when the vitriol starts spilling towards Sony, then they finally come out and have to say something. So I think I do plan to do one more stream on the PS5, a GT7 stream, because I plan to talk about the Hypercar DLC that's coming June 11th. I mean, in the short form, I think it's great that they're getting it, but I've raised the question, is it too little too late? The general answer is no, but there is a yes to that. So, I'll get to that another day. I'm not going to dive too deep into that shit because I had already went too far into the weeds to start out with. So we got to stay with Project Motor Racing. So, yeah, it's supposed to be getting PSVR 2 support, and that would be enough to bring me back into the ecosystem. Most notably, it would be enough. It would be enough for me to reluctantly purchase PlayStation Plus again. So, right before, right when Assetto Corsa Competizione, it was on PS4 and the Xbox One. So when the Series X and the PS5 came along, and they eventually came to the PS5 and Series X, it was huge because now the game's going to run at 60 frames per second, 30 car grids, HDR, 4K, and I will admit the game does look good on PS5. And at the time, ACC, again, was my favorite game. So I was in Eris's Discord, ironically, because he was an ACC developer at the time. So I was in his Discord. And at that time, Eris was doing community streams where he gives back to the community. I think he was doing streams once a week, once a month, whatever the case may be. You join his Discord. When he goes live, he would pick people from the Discord and would talk to them. And what he would do is help them, with their driving. And he would say, hey, what track do you want to go to? You say what track you want to go to, and he'll let you do a few laps and he'll watch you. And then from there, he'll analyze what you're doing wrong and give you tips right then and there. And then he'll have you do it again and run a few laps. And most people saw slash a half second, a second off their time, just like that, just from the tips that he gave them. And so as far as his Discord goes, I pinged him in his Discord to try to ask him if ACC would get PSVR 2 support on PS5, and one of the moderators jumped right on my neck and was like, don't ping the developers, that'll get you banned, yada, yada, yada. And ironically, that person ended up being one of my friends. We ended up becoming friends. And so I still needed to know. So during one of Eris's streams, I super chatted him and asked him, is PS5, is ACC on PS5 getting PSVR 2 support? His exact answer was too many resources. The console's not strong enough. That was his response, word for word. And so from that point, what I took was any game on PS5 that's more demanding than GT7 probably won't run on PSVR 2. That is until EA came along and wanted to talk to Sony about adding support to F124. So, based on me playing Project Motor Racing this past weekend in VR on PC, I guess the game on PSVR 2 never really entered my mind because I wasn't exactly sure if it would be able to run. But one thing I did notice, and I'll show you guys right here, the PS5 version. Oh, look at now! All of a sudden, I look like dog shit. That's the PS5 camera, and I still have to go through the settings and shit like that and play with it. So just deal with how, what's the word I'm looking for? How cosmic I look. But single player right here on Project Motor Racing, 16 cars is the most you can do, whereas on PC you can do 32. So I'm guessing that they probably use a technique on the PS5 that you see used on PC, like where you can choose how many cars you want rendered, like Le Mans Ultimate, AMS2, like all the racing games on PC, you can choose how many cars you want to be visible. And I'm guessing here they probably use that technique and just chose 16 as the number because this game is crossplay. So you enter a race that might have 30 something, have 25 cars in it. I'm assuming that they're using the technique that you would see done on the PC games where the most you're going to see is 16. They also, on the PS5 version, have PS5 only rank races that you can register for, which I think is a really cool thing. So, yeah, like I hope, looking back at it, it sounds like I might have been just talking in circles, but yeah, that's the gist of it. It appears that we might get some more details about PSVR 2 coming to Project Motor Racing because Eris has agreed to do an interview with EJR. So shout out to EJR for putting in the work. So he's agreed to do an interview with EJR, and he's somebody wanted to know more about the PSVR 2 support. So yeah, EJ, he reiterated that yes, this game is getting PSVR 2 support. He just doesn't know when. And based on the state of the game right now and the state of the VR on PC, I think at best we probably wouldn't see PSVR 2 support until the fall because they still got to get this ping collision thing straightened out because that's still a little bit of an issue. The VR on PC, I think for the most part, I think it runs decent. I think it runs fairly good. They just, once they get this thing sorted out with the mirror or companion app monitor, whatever you want to call it, once they get that straightened out, I think the VR will be fine. So I think they can finish the VR well before they can, before they get this thing sorted out with the collision ping thing. So shit, I'm hoping that whatever remaining thing they need to do to the VR, I'm hoping they can do it this week. Because it's there, it ran pretty good. I enjoyed it. So, but PSVR 2, with all the stuff staring them in the face right now, the work that they got to do, and then I think Eris stated, when EJ talked to him, he had pretty much stated that, yeah, they got big plans, and sometimes, Eris believes that sometimes you may have to break something in order to fix it. So I guess EJ said it's going to be a bumpy road ahead, and there may be times where it seems like they're going backwards, but it is in the best interest of going further forward. So based on all that, with a realistic timetable, I'm thinking fall at best before we see PSVR 2 support. But to finish this off, I am...
Had to work today, BS, but it is what it is.
Oh, man. Sorry that you had to work, Shaolin Monk. Damn. I think over in the UK, today's a baker's holiday. So as far as the PSVR, as far as the Project Motor Racing devs go, any things that they're talking about over there is not going to get solved today with any kind of hot fixes or anything like that, because they're off for the day, because I guess it's a baker's holiday over in the UK, as well as it being Memorial Day here in the US. But I am very, 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 very hopeful that the VR will get finished in the next week or two, because I can't wait. I really can't wait. That's how much I love VR, that right now I would consider Sony and the PlayStation the evil empire, and I left. I love VR that much that if Project Motor Racing gets PSVR 2 support, I'm willing to come back to the evil empire. That's how much I love racing in VR. All this time, you guys have seen me streaming Project Motor Racing on PS5 and PC. I love the game, and I know without a doubt that I'll love it even more. Yeah, that's savage. And I know that I'll love it even more in VR. And I could tell you right now where if Project Motor Racing gets PSVR 2 support, when it happens, I could almost guarantee you guys that I'll stream Project Motor Racing 3 times a week. One time on PC flat screen, once a week PC flat screen, once a week PC VR, and once a week PSVR 2. Anything after that is just, whatever I decide to throw in there. But yeah, that's just how much I love racing in VR. It is both a passion and it's a necessity, because I'm faster in VR. I judge things better in VR. I'm definitely more aggressive in VR. Not dirty aggressive, but being smart with the aggression. So, but when I look at the single player, and there's 16 cars, that tells me right there that yes, I think this game could run PSVR 2, because GT7, when you're playing GT7 single player, there's 20 cars rendered. Now, when you do the ranked races, there's 16. So I'm convinced that yes, it can run. I'm convinced that yes, the PS5 and PSVR 2 can run Project Motor Racing. The question is, no doubt it'll be reprojected, so be warned about when that happens with the reprojection. When you're going down the straights, it's going to be fine. It's going to look good. It's going to look smooth. When you hit the corners, that's when you're going to see the reprojection, where it's going to look slightly ghosted. It's probably going to look slightly blurry, because I absolutely do not believe that this game would be able to run 90 frames per second natively in VR, because that would absolutely tax the shit out of the PS5. So I mean, it might be unplayable. So I think now that we got all that out of the way, since we're here, I don't have PlayStation Plus, so I'm not going to jump online. I'm not going to buy it. I just don't right now. No, I just don't. You know, something could happen where I get the urge to buy a 1 month membership, but right now, no, I just don't. Um, but when Project Motor Racing gets its PSVR 2 support, yes, I will purchase PlayStation Plus again. Hell, I might even buy a whole damn year. Um, that's how much I love Project Motor Racing, and that's how much I love racing in VR. So, oh damn! Now I look really fucked up now. I'm sorry, folks. Damn, but I guess you guys just gonna have to deal with it. So I'll just reiterate that I was forced to stream directly from the PS5 because when I ran it through the capture card, the latency was just awful because the PS5 is running uh, is running through a capture card, through my PC and all that shit, and it created noticeable latency. It wasn't good. So in the interest of having the least amount of latency, I had to. I'm streaming directly from the PS5, and the first time that I've streamed directly from the PS5 in a couple of years. So we're about to find out right now what the latency is going to be. So now, as far as PSVR 2 goes, when I stream GT7 on PSVR 2, I can still run it through the capture card because what's going on, there's still direct contact between the console and the headset, so the capture card is not involved there, so there won't be any latency as far as that goes. But yeah, what I would see on my TV screen running through the capture card and then back, there was latency. Oh, you know what? I got to go in here and it's probably a good thing that I look like dog shit. Ciao. I think is that what you're saying? Ciao. Uh, Mario. How are you doing? Let me see here. Nope. I got to go to settings.
Thumbs up.
Okay, Mario Margarito, how are you doing? Vehicle setup, that's what I'm looking for. Steering wheel. So we definitely want to turn that strength up. And then steering rack, I think we want to go to 1.3. And then the cockpit setup, seat position. Because I want to be able to see a little bit of hands. All right, let's go. Already don't like the way the steering feels. I'm going to have to go back in there and play with it a little bit. Okay, as far as the resistance goes, it's fine. That feels good. It's only the outlap, so no big deal.
PS5 version graphics look as if you are coming from PC lol.
You can push now. Let's just see what you got.
I'll tell you what I think about the graphics here in a second. Because I've been on PC so much that I can already give you a thought on the graphics on the PS5 versus the PC. I just want to get into a groove. I'll give you my quick thoughts here in a second. Oof. All right, telling you what I think about the graphics looking at it right now. I do not feel that this is native 4K. My initial thoughts is that this looks like 1080p to me, and graphically, it looks like it's in between quality and balance. Better than balance, but not as good as quality on PC settings. So I do believe that the native resolution of this game is probably 1080p, and it's probably been upscaled to 1440p or 4K or whatever. Because I do believe that on the PlayStation Pro or on the PS4,
it needs resolution bump.
Unfortunately, if they're going to give this game PSVR 2 support, I don't think they can do it. Because
you've got 5 minutes left.
Any resources that they any adjustments that they make to this game on the PS5 that consumes more resources, to me, is going to take away from the PSVR.
I have it on my PS5, but I haven't tried it in months.
Okay, it's been a while since I played it on PS5 too. Whatever your hardware is, PC, whatever the case may be, you only have so much overhead at your disposal. And if they got, if you got this much total, and the game in the current state is using about half of it, and you give it a resolution bump and a graphical bump and all that kind of shit, now you might be going from using 50% of the resources to 60 or 65% of the resources, which would take away from the VR. So, I mean, there's no way, in my opinion, that they would be able to run this game at epic graphical settings at a native 4K resolution and still maintain 60 frames per second. And then you want to add VR support? VR is demanding. Remember what I was saying about the VR yesterday when I was explaining it to you guys? That when you play a game in VR, the hardware is displaying it twice. Once on the TV or monitor or whatever you're using, and twice inside the headset. When I was streaming Project Motor Racing in VR on PC, my computer was displaying it 4 times. Once on the monitor, once in a headset, I had to open the Oculus mirror so you guys could see exactly what I was doing. That's 3, and then I had to source it through OBS, and then then I'm looking at it through the OBS window. So I was displaying the game 4 times on my PC. That's going to tax the shit out of any hardware. Now, in some sense, I still think that it's even a miracle that they were able to get GT7 running in VR. I did notice some of the shortcuts that they had to make in order to save resources. One is they don't allow you, when you're in the cockpit, they don't allow you to change camera angles. You're in the cockpit and that's it. You cannot cycle through camera angles. You cannot move around. Once you're in place, you cannot get up and move around. If you get up and move out of your spot, the screen's going to turn black, and there's going to be a wireframe of whatever of the car that you're sitting in. So yeah, again.
Is this Mass Effect Top Parrot?
Craig Harris, what is good, my guy? The smoke. How you been, my guy? Big shout out to my friend Craig Harris. We've been friends. Damn, I think we've been friends about 6-7 years. Cause I came to YouTube. I became a streamer on YouTube at the end of 2017, and I think I met Craig about 6 months later. Because I met him when I was in the round table, which I still consider myself to be in the round
7
table.
years, bro.
Yep, 7 years. And I met him through the round table because I still have a lot of friends in the round table, and I still keep in contact with them from time to time. And Craig Harris is always going to be one of those guys. He's on YouTube. He's a guy that brings you the news across gaming with Xbox, PlayStation, little bit of PC. So if you want to, get some opinionated news, definitely go check him out. We used to do. I started a show called Live from Wakanda, where I talked about the latest VR news and the latest news in general. And Craig came on there as a guest a couple of times, and then over time, he became my co-host, and we did the show together for quite a while. I miss those days. And so, in fact, we did a special Live from Wakanda.
We should do it again in the fall, grinning face with smiling eyes.
Oh yeah, we should definitely do it again. The last time Craig and I did a show together was when I got my PSVR 2. I did an unboxing, and he was in the Discord with me, asking me questions as I'm unboxing the game, unboxing the headset, and that was pretty cool too. So yeah, we should absolutely do a podcast this fall. Game on Scorpio, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. So let's move on to the next session. Let's return to the pit. God, I look weird. God, I look weird. Oh my Lord. Yeah, you guys just have to deal with that. Because I got to use the PlayStation camera. I got to stream directly from the PlayStation. So
Good, thanks. How are you, Lincoln?
I'm doing pretty good.
We're starting at the back of the grid.
I'm enjoying the holiday. I'm on PS5. I don't have PlayStation Plus, so I'm not able to race online. And I didn't plan on being on that long anyway. I just really wanted to talk about that it looks like PSVR 2 support is still on the table for Project Motor Racing, and I'm absolutely excited about that. And as I said before, I have not exactly been a fan of Sony the past couple of years, but Project Motor Racing getting PSVR 2 support is enough to bring me.
Hear.
Yep. And Project Motor Racing getting PSVR 2 support would be enough to bring me back into their ecosystem. Let's go.
Let's get a good launch. Focus on those lights.
Hey Link.
Andreas, teammate, how's it going?
I just got off playing and testing the VR mode.
Oh shit! Hey, Scorpio, what do you think of it? What do you think of it? Also, Scorpio, was it hard for you to set it up? But you said you've got knowledge with XML, so you said it would. Oh shit! You said it should be fairly easy for you. So was it?
Really good. Like you, I wish the distance was clearer.
Box this lap.
Whoops. Hold on. I'm gonna start this race over, but
Yay was all straightforward.
okay. So, Scorpio, you've been doing VR for years, just like me. So you know that, especially when it comes to racing games, and a lot of VR games in particular, softness in the distance sometimes is, with some of these games, it is what it is. The more demanding the game is, the more the likelihood of us seeing a soft background. If the game is not demanding at all, and it's some Roblox looking shit, it's going to be clear from front to back, from left to right.
Might be engine related.
I don't think it's engine related, Andreas. I think, I've seen a lot of games I've done.
But this is an anti-aliasing issue.
Okay. Andreas, I've done a stream before where I gave my thoughts on
4 and 5 were soft.
Yeah.
Unreal asterisk.
Yeah, I thought that's what you meant. I've done streams before where
if you change the AA, you'll see it change. Ta is best but still not great.
Yeah, I saw that. So when I put it on quality settings, the anti-aliasing is on TAA by default. So Andreas, I've done a stream before where I've given my thoughts on the best looking racing games in VR. And I still believe that at the moment, Automobilista 2 is still the best looking racing game in VR overall. But
I can test more with PMAX tonight.
oh, okay, yeah, let me know, Andreas. But like F125, GT7, yeah,
Really? Not X.
no,
I didn't run AMS2 for a while.
ACC. It's plain and simple. If you want ACC to look good in VR, you need a beefy PC. A mid-range is not going to cut it. I mean, you need we talking 4090, 5090 type shit if you want it to look good.
X can look good, but needs to be cranked.
Exactly. F125. I think a case could be made that it would be the best looking racing game in VR, except
5090 struggles at their highest settings.
good, definitely.
I'll be fine then, haha.
Cool. Good to hear. Good to hear, Scorpio. F125. I made the case that if the background wasn't so soft, it would be the best looking racing game. Up close, the details.
I think it was the only one with DLSS support too. A CC that is.
Yeah, I tried the DLSS on ACC and I saw no difference in performance or visuals, to tell you the truth. So I just left it off. So ACC F125, the distance was soft, but it had actual 3D NF what's non-playable characters or whatever, NPs or whatever, and not just the 2D spinners. It had actual 3D characters in the stands. Inside the cockpit of that Formula One car, the picture was so sharp, is so detailed that you could see the fabric on the racing gloves. You could see the stitching in it. That's how sharp the picture was.
PMR looks good from outside / chase cam in VR.
I'm too used to being in the cockpit, so I never really messed with the chase cam that much. So this was the case that I was making.
Link, imagine with double that resolution in 1 franc.
Yeah, definitely. So this is what I was saying. AMS2 is the best looking one in VR. In the case of F125, if the distance was just as clear as what you're seeing inside the car, you could make a case that that would be the best looking racing game in VR.
I watch a lot of chase during LMU Endurance Team.
Ah, okay. And then there's GT7. I think a case could be made that if GT7 was on PC and you could use the same settings on GT7 that you could use on any other racing game, a case could be made that that would be the best looking racing game in VR, because the details are there. It's just the PS5 doesn't have the power to push it to make it look as good as PC. So some of these bozos that claims that
GT7 to come to PC.
I don't think it'll ever happen. I think the only way GT7 would ever come to PC is if Sony makes their own launcher and their own PC store. But like coming to Steam, putting it on Steam in the Motor or the Microsoft store, you know, or Epic, no, that's not happening. I mean, Sony is at a point.
I agree. It will never happen, but it would be great to see.
It would. Now, I guess there are people that believe that Sony's going to be coming out with a PC launcher here in the fall. If that's true, and they built the infrastructure for crossplay, then yeah, it's a possibility that maybe you could see GT7 on PC through Sony's launcher. But yeah, but as far as it being on Steam or Epic or the Microsoft store, nah, forget it. It ain't happening. But yeah, that's my final thoughts on GT7. If it was on PC and you could blast it and you could crank the settings up just like you could any other racing game, a case could be made that GT7 would be the best looking racing game in VR. Now, these guys, as I was saying before, these bozos that are on PSVR 2, on PS5, that says GT7 is the best looking racing game in VR across any game, no. Because you're on inferior hardware that cannot push it the way a PC can, and you're using a headset that has inferior lenses with the Fresnel lenses, and these days pancake lenses are the standard. And right now, pancake lenses are like the invention of the smartphone. It's been around for ages, but it revolutionized the cell phone, and that's what pancake lenses has done for VR. It's been around for quite a while, but now I can't imagine VR without any sort of pancake lenses, because pancake lenses give you that clarity from top to bottom, from left to right, from front to back. So that's part of the problem with PSVR 2. And then so much to the point where they have to use, even with Fresnel lenses.
Aspheric are great too. Pancake are too dim emo.
I don't have any headsets with etheric lenses, so it's not my place to contest that. So, really, my Quest 3, my Meta Quest 3, and my Quest Pro are the only headsets I have that have pancake lenses. My other headsets, PSVR 2, my HP Reverb 2, the Quest 2, all that shit, they still have the old Fresnel lenses. So,
Going back to Quest 3, it's like you're wearing sunglasses.
yeah.
Let's get a good launch and overtake some cars. You can do it.
I gotta scoot back a little bit. I did notice some frame drops when the cars
There's
were
also
bunched.
a lot of black space between the pixels now that I tried Quest 3 again after about a year of owning PMax.
See, I had pre-ordered the Crystal Light, but Pimax was bullshitting, so I canceled the order. You know, they were promising when Pimax knows they have a bad reputation. And
It's
despite
not screen door effect, but hard to explain.
okay. I'm gonna have to pause it so I can explain my situation with Pimax. So the reason that I originally ordered a
The
Pimax
chainsaw
Crystal,
again, lol.
with the Acura, how it sounds like a lawnmower or whatever. So my situation with Pimax is, I pre-ordered the Crystal Light because, in the case of the Quest headset, you have to use a link cable and the compression techniques and shit like that. And they talk about the artifacting and the latency and shit like that with the compression techniques of the Quest headsets. So any headset with a DisplayPort connection that doesn't involve compression techniques usually looks better and has faster response, the way I understand it. So the Crystal Light is connected through a DisplayPort, which is quicker than a link cable. So I pre-ordered it, and Pimax had promised there wouldn't be any shipping issues with the Crystal Light, but it came up. Just to throw a month out there, they promised that the things would ship in March. In April, they finally come out with a statement that they're having a hard time keeping up with demand, or this or that, whatever excuses they were making up. So I get a letter from Pimax saying that my order had been pushed back and it won't ship until May. I said, okay, fine. I'm waiting until May, and then May comes around, I don't get a headset. So now it's fucking July, and I get a message from Pimax telling me that my shipment had been pushed back. Well, no fucking shit. It's May, and you're sending me a message in July, and telling me that my shipment had been pushed back. So at that point, I went to cancel the pre-order, but it wouldn't let me cancel the pre-order because I had put a $35 deposit down on it, and I don't know if this deposit was refundable or not, but it wouldn't let me cancel the pre-order, and it wouldn't let me get my my deposit back. So at that point, I just decided, well, fuck it, I'm not going to pay for it because they didn't have my credit card information. They just needed the deposit. You didn't have to give them your credit card information. So I'm thinking that, well, they don't have my credit card information. They can go ahead and keep that funky $35 deposit. Fuck them. I'm not fucking with them. So I just never followed through on the order. So if Pimax ever sent me a message saying that my order was ready to ship, I just never responded to it. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I think the only way I'd probably ever fuck with a Pimax headset if I were to buy it off of eBay or something like that, because I don't want to fuck with Pimax directly. It's just too much bullshit with them from what I'm understanding. And then there was a YouTuber who looks like Gabe Newell, and he was having problems with customer service and shit like that. When he made a video about it, even though he was a small channel, he only had like 4,500 subs. But when he made a video about the issues he was having with customer service, they got up off their fucking ass and fixed this shit. Oh. Yeah, I don't really see much latency now. So, I mean, if I do stream Project Motor Racing again, until it gets VR support, if I stream it flat screen, then I have to stream it directly from the PS5 because going through the capture card, said before, caused like a ton of latency. AI left me in the dust. Force feedback feels, the resistance feels pretty good though.
You've been given a penalty.
I just hopped in. AMS2 looks okay but jagged on distant lines.
Huh. I mean, AMS2 looks fine from front to back for me.
You've been given a penalty for track limits.
I think the higher race highlights it. Could be my settings also.
That's what I'm wondering because the way I understand it, these Pimax headsets has way more pixels than the Quest headsets and stuff.
That was without OpenX toolkit also.
But from what I understand,
Race Direct has judged that you've got a lasting advantage. Use the time back. Slow down now. Slow down now.
I think the Pimax, from what I understand, has its own features similar to a synchronous space warp
I
in
think
OpenXR.
Pimax high resolution is at 6000 x 6000-ish.
Damn.
Mate, you've been given a penalty for track limits. What's done is done. Get your head down and keep pushing.
The highest I've ever run any of my headsets, I've run my Quest Pro at about 4000p on Le Mans Ultimate, and the headset doesn't natively go that high. I had to upscale it through OpenXR Toolkit. Oh, I'm not doing 12 laps. Especially sitting here in last place with all these damn penalties I'm racking up. I got greedy. If you guys notice, you see my best lap right there is a 2 minutes .750. I was trying to get into the 159s, so I was pushing it. I was being extra greedy. And that last corner I took, I went too deep into the grass and it unsettled the
Rear
car.
aero damage. You've got some minor rear aero damage.
Yeah, I got extra greedy. And I've been using the Acura lately because I was using the Porsche for a while until people started saying it was a Metacar, so I got up off of the Porsche. And now that I can finally play this game in VR, I'm at a point where the GT3s are so good across the board on this game that I'm willing to drive any one of them in VR. And the car that really intrigues me that I think is very, very underrated is the Mustang. The car handles really good. I just don't like the way it feels sitting inside the car. The dashboard is tall, the hood is tall, and it's long. And like I said, it feels like, from looking at it over the top of the hood, it looks like I'm driving a semi truck. The way it looks and the way it feels is two different things. Because in terms of the handling and shit like that, it's definitely, I think it's one of the better cars. I dare say that, like, as far as the GT3s on this game, I think I could turn in the fastest laps with the Corvette and the Porsche. After that, I think I could probably turn in the fastest laps with the Mustang. So I would say Porsche and Corvette tied for first. I think the Corvette would be second. And then I think anything after that is just a toss-up in terms of how fast I could be with those cars. But they all feel good. I did do a 159. I did do a 159.4 with the Mustang. And the way it felt, I know I can get into the 158s with the Mustang. So if I were to put in enough practice with it, I dare say I could probably get the same laps out of the Mustang that I get out of the Porsche and the Corvette. But I haven't put any serious time in the Corvette in such a long time because when this game first came out, as far as the GT3 goes, the Corvette was the Metacar with the GT3s when this game first came out. Over in the GTE class, I started out with the Corvette GTE, but it was way too twitchy. So I switched over to the Ford GT, and lo and behold, I ended up finding out that the Ford GT was the Metacar over in the GTE class. So I had to abandon that car because I don't like using Metacars. Because if you turn in a good lap, that's going to be the first thing that comes out of everybody's mouth is that you use the Metacar. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why you see me driving the Acura. And I think over on Forza Motorsports, the handling on that game is terrible. But once I got the settings to a point where I could halfway drive the cars, honestly, I'm turning in the fastest laps with the Aston Martin over on Forza Motorsports. But surprisingly, the Acura NSX is surprisingly fun to drive over on Forza Motorsports. The car understeers a lot, but it's still fun to drive. So yeah. I think how fast you are with the Acura is one thing, but I do think it's a fun car to drive. Sebring. So a lot of these tracks, I've got a general memory of what my fastest laps were on these particular tracks. So Spielberg Ring, otherwise known as Red Bull Ring. I think my fastest laps on this track, I think I might have just...
Development PMR avec PSVR 2 sur PS5 Pro folded hands.
According to EJR Racing, that's why I put him. That's why I put his name in the title. He spoke with Giants developers. He spoke with Eris, and I guess yes, PSVR 2 support is still planned for Project Motor Racing, which would be huge. And if Sony allows that to happen, I mean, my jaw would hit the floor. Even though they're saying it's gonna happen, I'm still like, I still have to see it to believe it. I don't want to get my hopes up, even though my hopes are already up for it. But yeah, I got it on PC, whatever. But I would love for it to come to PSVR 2 because I love VR so much. I would drive it on either or. I wouldn't care which one. You know, I would wake up in the morning and flip a coin and, oh, okay, I'll do it on PSVR 2. You know, I wouldn't care if it's getting the VR support. So coming back to my personal best, this track right here, I think my personal best was like 129 something on ACC. And then I think I just recently broke that on AC Evo with the Ferrari 296. I think I did a 128, like a 128.8 on AC Evo. Surprisingly, that game too, even though the VR still needs a lot of optimization, I've had a lot of fun driving that Ferrari 296 in VR over on AC Evo as well. So, I mean, even though I haven't been streaming all that much over the past month or so or something like that, I've still been doing a lot of racing off of YouTube. That last chicane can be tricky. Now, this track right here, my fastest lap on ACC was like a 142.4. Over here on Project Motor Racing, I think I did a 141 something. So I dare say that, yes, my fastest lap ever on this track happened here on Project Motor Racing. You know what? Let me see what time it is. It's 2 o'clock. Give me a second, folks. I'm going to go grab a quick drink. So you'll see this static image of me through my glasses and shit like that. Yeah, nice PlayStation 5 camera. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I'm back. I had to grab a drink. I had to take my headset off. One thing I try not to do is eat or drink on stream. I find that to be annoying. People eating and drinking, all that crunching, and smacking and gulping and slurping, all that shit is... all that shit just.
Hello, sir.
Project Mayhem Racing, how are you doing? If you're gonna eat and you're a noisy eater, I think you do it in an environment almost like if you're gonna take a shit, you do it in the bathroom with the door closed. If you're gonna eat or drink and you're a noisy eater, do it away from the public. Do it in the privacy of wherever you're at, wherever you eat. All right. Let's go to vehicle setup and get that steering wheel together. So the force feedback strength at about 140 actually felt pretty good. And the steering, we'll set that up right there. And L3. No.
Dude, my GF is the noisiest eater I've ever been around. Drives me insane, huh?
I think women who are noisy eaters, I don't think that's very ladylike. I think one of my things about I think my pet peeves about noisy eaters came from my father, because that shit drives him insane. My brother was a very noisy eater. He would smack when he eating. You can see his mouth moving and shit, like. And my father would be like, "Stop smacking." And my father would have to tell him to do that, stop smacking every single time he ate. It wasn't a situation where he would tell him to stop doing it and he wouldn't do it anymore. He just smacked. He still smacked to this very day. You know, we're both approaching 60 years old and he still smacks when he eats. When my mother learned that, whenever my mother felt like getting up under my father's skin, she would start smacking and, you know, making noise when she would eat, just so she could pin and needle my father whenever she felt like fucking with him. So female eaters that's noisy, yeah, that's a like, yeah, all right, here, let me put that on the list. That's an X. You know, check the boxes. Check. Noisy eater, X. You know.
My GF is not from my country, so I give her a little pass.
Well, I think
5 minutes left.
I think when it comes to etiquette, you know, eating, I don't think that's a regional thing. I think some people are noisy eaters, some people are not. Some people are annoyed by it, some people are not. I get annoyed by it, but I don't say anything because, you know, people are grown and I can't tell them how to eat. You know, I can't tell them, you know, chew with your mouth closed. Well, you've been testing, Andreas.
Frank 23, AMS 2, Omu.
Okay, so you must have been testing them in VR. What did you come up with?
I think LMU looks best. 1 Frank is soft in distance, similar to PMR.
Yeah, I think
into race room now.
Well, I gotta stop right here. Andreas, I think when you go into race room, at least with the settings that I have, race room has the sharpest picture. It runs excellent. But even with these updated graphics, it still looks dated. It still looks old. But it looks good. It's got A case could be made out of all the racing games that I race in VR. A case could be made that Race Room has the sharpest picture, but it looks old. Even with the updated graphics, it looks good, and it still looks like today's racing games, but it still looks a little bit outdated. So yeah, I'd definitely be curious to see what you think of Race Room. I think in the case of Automobilista 2, I still feel like it looks the best all around. It especially, boy, nighttime in VR. I think AC Evo has the best lighting because the cars have that bright ice blue xenon headlights type of bloom, and then the floodlights around the track are all different brightnesses. So I think, I think AC Evo in VR has the best looking night races. I think Automobilista 2 comes second. Now, the one thing Automobilista 2 absolutely has is when you look in your rear view mirrors, the car behind you, the headlights look real, and the bloom around the outside of the headlights themselves looks incredible. Now, in the case of Project Motor Racing, the night races, the bloom is there. The bloom, on the ground, illuminating the reflections on the ground, that stuff is there, but the headlights itself, you can see the headlights. Like, you can see the outline of the headlights. Whereas, like, Automobilista 2, you just see a bright light source and then the bloom all the way around it.
Loss Area NGT, Morgan ECT.
Oh man, Drive Racer, I don't know what language you're speaking in. Let me go to my stream and go into the chat and see if I can translate it. But definitely, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the comment. Here. Okay, to see what there's no translate to English here on the mobile app, so I'm gonna have to go to PC and see what you said. So give me a second to bring up the stream and so I can translate it to English. Translate to English. I love the NGT series, Morgan. Okay, all right. You love the NGTs. Yeah, that BMW is a pretty good car. I think of the NGTs, that's probably the car I go with. I think it's the best all-around car, and it sounds pretty good too. So that is if you understood what I said back in English. But I'm sure at some point you can, use a translator. All right. Speaking of some of the things a lot of these racing games can do well, I give GT7 credit for one thing that none of these other racing games can do. When you're doing a night race on GT7 and the cars bottom out and you see those sparks coming from the underneath the cars, that is incredible. I mean, that shit looked like a fireworks show.
Looks smoothest, but I turned down race a lot. There was high CPU usage last time I ran high race.
I can't even remember what my graphical settings are on Race Room. I know here on this computer in here on the 3070, I got it turned down. I think on my 4090 out there, I might have it turned up to high. But the resolution, I'm running it at about, I don't know, about 3000p. And again, at least with my Quest Pro headset on my 4090, Race Room has the sharpest picture. But yeah, GT7, those sparks that come underneath the cars in night races, they do that like no other. Oh, shit. I hate that chicane. That is the most troublesome part of this track.
How's PMR VR compared to Evo? Hello again, from Brazil, he.
Hey, Macintosh, Brazil in the house. I'm on my PS5, so I can't do the little emote thing. Harry, how is PMR VR compared to AC Evo? It runs better if depending on your settings. If you turn it down enough, it definitely runs better than AC Evo. The big problem is that the mirror or monitor. I've said that so many times yesterday that when you put the headset on, the monitor or the mirror freezes. So it's stuck in a loading phase while you're still doing stuff within the headset. So you're still moving along in the headset, but the mirror is still stuck in a loading phase. And eventually that leads to performance problems. So I would say after about 3 or 4 laps, I start to see frame drops, and then I have to pull over, take the headset off for a second to give the mirror a chance to catch up to real time, and then put the headset back on, and then I start driving again, and then the frame rate will be smooth for another 3 or 4 laps. So right now, with the Project Motor Racing VR, they either have to get the mirror working, or they have to allow us to disable it to be able to run the VR for long periods of time without any issues. But all in all, other than that, the Project Motor Racing VR runs smoother than Evo. I mean, no matter how high or how low you turn Evo, how high or how low you turn it, it still looks a little bit skittish. It's not smooth. It runs a little bit skittish. Even on high-end PCs. And on this PC here in my bedroom, the 3070 Ti, is damn near unplayable. This shit runs at like 15 frames per second, and it's crashed on me quite a few times. So whenever I want to do AC Evo in VR, I have to do it on my 4090 PC. Project Motor Racing, I can do it on this PC, but I have to turn a lot of stuff down. I turned the graphical settings down to balance, and the AI, I rendered 10 cars for AI, but the same problem still exists, that because of the mirror not moving along with the headset, eventually it leads to performance issues. So the same shit happens here, where after about 3 laps, there starts to be serious frame drops, and I have to take the headset off for a second to allow the mirror to catch up and then put it back on, and then I can race for about another 3-4 laps before I start seeing problems again. So I hope that answers it. But yeah, for the most part, it runs better than Evo. Ooh, a little wide. Ooh, damn, AI, go ahead. Shit. The way he charged in there, go ahead, take it.
Checkered flag out. Session is done.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the actually do a few laps in a race. It felt pretty good.
Unfortunately, there's no time on the board. We'll start from the back.
This one of the AI racers' name is Lightning McQueen. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get a good launch. Focus on those lights.
Come on, AI, move.
Car right.
I took that at a bad angle. I gotta figure out a different angle to take that chicane. Once I figure that out, I can shave a ton of time.
That looked like a pretty big hit, mate. You've lost the front splitter. Box this lap for a replacement. Box this lap.
Got greedy. Tried to overtake the slower AI.
Car left.
Oh shit! Oh!
AC Evo pisses me off.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
Covered up my view using OpenXR toolkit buttons in game.
Oh shit. Bugged up my view.
It's zoomed to like 600%.
Damn! So the picture that I get when I use when I do AC Evo in VR, the picture that I
And
get
cross-eyed.
and cross-eye. Okay, so the view that I get in AC
Your
Evo,
settings menu is shit.
yeah, that's definitely facts right there. But the view that I get, everything up close, just like everything else in VR, everything up close is sharp. Everything in the distance looks a little bit pixelated, but overall the picture looks grainy. Some parts of it works. That grainy look, like when you look down on the asphalt
I
and
was
it looked,
scrolling down Race I open XR and it flipped VR HUD. Fucking hell.
oh shit. In my case, it would probably run worse without the OpenXR toolkit. But yeah, like that grainy look that AC Evo has, when I look down at the asphalt, that grainy look actually makes it look really good. It actually makes the track look really detailed.
There is
Where,
no reset.
oh shit, I dare say that looking down at the track, AC Evo might look the most detailed because of that grainy look. Whereas like all the other games like Le Mans Ultimate and shit like that, you look down at the track, it's got that smooth gray, as if somebody just rolled out some red like gray carpet with curves in it. Whereas with AC Evo, that grainy looks, you can see the pebbles and the tar and shit like that mixed together to form the asphalt, the cracks and shit like that. The details really shine when you look down in the ground. So, but AC Evo is far from overall the best experience in VR. So it's already 2:30 p.m. here Eastern time. I'm not sure how much longer I want to stream here on PS5 because later on I want to jump into some VR on Project Motor Racing and stream later on this evening because I got to go back to work this evening. So I got to get the most out of today and have some fun. After I get done with this stream, I got to take a break for a couple hours and tie up some loose end, go do some grocery shopping, yada, yada, yada. And then possibly come back and stream again in a couple of hours because believe it or not, I'm having fun on this PS5 version, even if it's against the AI. Just a shame that we don't have the PSVR 2 right now. If I wanted to, I could use the PSVR 2 headset and do it in theater mode, but to me that it doesn't gain any immersion because you're wearing a headset and it's like you're just racing on a big giant flat screen. You're not actually in 3D, so that makes it. It would make no sense for me even do that. So, all right, I'll do another track to put around, do a few laps, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up and take care of my loose ends. And like I said, see about coming back later. I just don't like Nordschleife. I just don't. Silverstone. Some games I get decent lap times. Some games my lap times are dog shit. Le Mans Ultimate, my lap times are dog shit on this track. I think on ACC on this track, my best lap was a 1:59.1. I mean, I was halfway decent on ACC, but I wasn't the aliens. I wasn't on their level because I did a 1:59.1 on this track on ACC, and the aliens were doing like 1:57s on this track. So I'd probably say across the board, like ACC and Le Mans Ultimate, I was probably about 2 seconds behind the aliens on average. Um, Now I admit, I don't screw around with GT7 that much. So when I look at my time versus the fastest on the leaderboard, there's been times where I looked to check the leaderboard. I was like 5, 6 seconds slower than the leader. So yeah, I get a little bit embarrassed looking at that leaderboard, but I don't play that game that much. So my lap times that I get are to be expected. Another track, Mount Panorama. My fastest ACC lap, I think, was a 2:02. The aliens were doing 2 minutes 1:59. I do believe I did a 2:01 or 2 minutes on Automobilista 2. Um, like a lot of my lap times that I've done on Le Mans Ultimate or ACC, I've turned in faster lap times on Automobilista 2. And that could be the Simcade physics that they have been labeled with. Kyalami's another one. I think my fastest lap on ACC was a 142, and I think my fastest lap here was probably a 141. But I think on fucking Forza, my fastest lap was like a fucking 146 or 147. So my lap times on Forza is absolutely horrible. Spa's too popular. Yeah, let's do a couple of laps here, and then I'll wrap it up. Oh shit! You got to go to return to the pit so I can set up the vehicle setup. Well, save setup. That's what we want to do. Yes, I wish to overwrite it. Now this is a track that I definitely need VR, and I'll show you where. Okay, I'm kind of good right here, but right here is where you need the VR, because you don't see shit going over that hill. What? Right there, that's where I need the VR. This is where I need VR coming up here, up this hill. See, right there, you don't see how hard the corner brakes until you get right on top of it. So you're guessing. 37. Like, now, if I wanted to, I could race. As I was saying before, I could do the VR on my weaker PC, the 3070 Ti. The problem is I don't think it's got enough overhead to stream and race from the same PC using VR. I mean, I could do the two PC setup, but shit. But if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it right from my 4090 PC, where I can crank up the visuals a little bit. Because I'm not gonna lie, because I have to turn everything down on this 3070 Ti PC, the visuals leave a little bit to be desired. You know what? Something else just crossed my mind too. The GT7 Hypercar DLC that's coming here next month. That's all fine and dandy, and I've already, posed the question whether it's too little, too late. It's great that they're giving us 4 hypercars, but right now, Project Motor Racing still has the most current hypercars on console. Forza over on Xbox has 4 hypercars. Has the BMW, the Porsche. Let's see here. The BMW, the Porsche, and the Lamborghini, and the Cadillac. So yeah, they got 4 hypercars. GT7 is going to get the BMW, the Porsche, the Ferrari, and the Peugeot. Like somebody, God, the chat jumped on me yesterday trying to correct me. I don't know if it's Peugeot or Peugeot. Whoever knows what it is, say it. So, because I've always said Peugeot. So yeah, they're getting those 4 hypercars. So GT7, Forza, 4 hypercars each. Project Motor Racing has 9. And then the Acura hypercar on Project Motor Racing, to my knowledge, I think only iRacing and Automobile Listed 2 has that same hypercar. I don't think it's anywhere else. So they got 9 hypercars. So GT3s. I think at the moment on console, I think ACC might have the most current GT3s, and I think Project Motor Racing might have the second most, because the 3 brands that they're definitely missing on Project Motor Racing, they are missing the Ferrari, they are missing the McLaren, and they're missing the Lexus. The Nissan, I don't think anybody uses that car anymore. So I kind of can't really count that, but yeah, I think ACC has the most current GT3s on console, and I think Project Motor Racing has the second most, because GT7 definitely has some catching up to do with the current GT3s. They are missing a lot of them. They've got the Ferrari and the Porsche, but shit, they're still missing a whole lot of them. So the reason why I brought all that up is that I think that Project Motor Racing, when it gets VR support, as far as like racing cars go, I'm not talking about road cars, production cars, and all this SUV bullshit that you see on GT7. I'm talking about pure racing cars. When Project Motor Racing gets PSVR 2 support, I think as far as pure racing cars is going to be the best experience on PS5. I think that case can be made right now that it's the best experience on console in terms of pure racing cars. I mean, both GT7 and Forza has a lot of racing cars, but Project Motor. Touch, how's it going? How you doing?
We need to talk about your console pronunciation. Is this coming to PSVR 2?
Apparently it is.
Evo needs asynchronous to look smooth and decent like the other Sims.
Andreas, I use a synchronous space warp on AC Evo, and like I said,
it's an Americanism. I'm good, bro. Hope you are too.
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Shumi, my console pronunciation. I've seen it say console. I've seen it, pronounced several ways. Like my friend J Dub, he lives in Houston, Texas. He says console. Like he doesn't say console, he says console. So,
maybe asterisk.
So, I don't know. Console, that's the word. That's how it flows out. It's not something however I say it is not me going out of my way to say it like that. That's just how it flows out. But you could definitely correct me on the pronunciation of Peugeot or Peugeot, however it's pronounced. Another car like the Lamborghini Countach, I've seen it. People call it the Lamborghini Countach. So the first time I've heard that Lamborghini Countach was the word that I heard that was used. So that's the word that usually comes to mind when I think about that car. But I think the majority of people say Countach. So tomato, tomato. Yeah, this is definitely a track where I need the VR because the slight elevation hides some of the turns until you get there, until you get right up on top of it. Right here, I need the VR. Because I couldn't be aggressive going around that corner because I didn't know what was waiting for me.
5 minutes to the end.
Lincoln lawnmower, huh?
Oh yeah.
Watkins Turn 3 is a good benchmark for Evo.
Ah, shit!
Dude, it's like a chainsaw clearing the forest.
Yeah, it is. I was too busy watching that comment about Watkins 3, about Watkins Turn 3. Watkins is one of the more one of the American tracks that I definitely like. When it comes to American tracks, I like Daytona, I like Watkins, I like Road Atlanta.
Sunny, not tried rain or night.
Night races are definitely taxing. Night and rain, yeah, that can be a PC killer.
I loved Sonoma in PC too.
Oh, Sonoma, I think as far as the games that I have that's got Sonoma, I think Automobilista 2 has Sonoma. I think the original Ace Assetto Corsa might have it. I think Race Room has it. And I'm guessing, iRacing probably has it, because like iRacing probably got damn near every track known to man. I don't know why, but like I'm getting
a fan of Road Atlanta.
I love Road Atlanta. Oh, I gotta pull over. I love Road Atlanta. It's a very challenging track, but it is a terrible track for racing. I think it's if you're doing time trials or hot lapping, Atlanta is a wonderful track, but for the actual racing, I think it's a terrible track, because we already got dirty drivers and idiots in sim racing, and no track brings out the chaos like Road Atlanta. I think the only other track that might have chaos worse than Road Atlanta might be Turn 1 at Monza. Turn 1 at Monza might be the worst. I would put Turn 1 on Spa in the top 5 as well. Oh, damn.
Looking at the telemetry, looks like you've lost a load of downforce at the rear. Hit this lap. Hit this lap.
Something about this car, even on this Logitech G29, this G923 that I'm using, the resistance feels just right. It's enough that I can turn it easily without overturning it. And therefore, this Acura is fun to drive. Even though I turn in much faster laps with the Porsche and the Corvette, that's the fun factor of driving this car. It's fun.
flag this lap. Wrap it up.
All right.
Get in, Lincoln.
Blitzkrieg, how's it going? Damn, I keep forgetting I'm on PS5 because every time I try to hit the pause button, I keep reaching for my keyboard right here on PC and keep wanting to hit the escape button to pause it. And I keep forgetting that I'm on PS5. I guess the only thing that's reminding me that I'm on PS5 is how shitty the camera looks because I'm using the PS5 camera. You know, this the camera is one piece of hardware or accessory where you have to use Sony proprietary accessory, and doesn't allow me to connect any other cameras because I've got a ton of cameras laying around here.
Bad luck, mate. We didn't set it.
All right, let's get a few laps in.
Focused. Let's get a good start. Take some of those cars off the line.
Glad this coming to PSVR 2.
Oh, I didn't think it was going to happen. I still, you know, even though I saw EJ say it, I still can't believe it. I didn't think I was driving all that bad. I was still getting blown out by the AI. Damn, AI is doing 127. I managed to do a 130 flat, and the AI is doing 127s. Yeah, no wonder I was getting blown out. Even the AI, the last place AI, was still doing a 128.3. So in VR, I believe I can get it to the 129s, maybe the 128s. So that is my excuse. Damn, it's already 3 o'clock. I've probably been live now. Shit, I know at least 2 hours. I need to hurry up and get my shit done so I can come back and stream in VR on PC. But I'm really having fun driving this Acura. I really am. But yeah, I need to go ahead and wrap it up. So, take care of these loose ends. So with that being said, I reluctantly have to shut the stream down and come back in a couple hours. So that's what I'm going to do. Tie up some loose ends, go get some grocery shopping done, yada, yada, yada. And I'll see you guys.
They just did some new visual updates for this game. All right, dude. I just missed the stream.
Well, DJ, I'm coming back in a couple of hours because we got
the chainsaw.
Refuel the chainsaw. We just got access to the VR a couple of days ago, DJ. So I am able to do Project Motor Racing in VR on PC. I'm on the PS5 right now because I just wanted to talk about that. Apparently, it's still coming to PSVR 2, even though I'm reading it, but my eyes refuse to believe it. I'm hearing it. Somebody said it, but I'm refusing to hear it. But yeah, I'll be back in a couple hours on PC in VR, so come on back then, and we'll talk there, as the saying goes. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in a couple hours when I get back, and I'll be looking a little bit better on camera because I have better lighting. I have my other camera, and I won't have this cosmic static look. Let me see here. Yeah, even without the glasses, I still look weird. So yeah, folks, we'll see you in a little while. Until then, thanks for watching.
See you soon.
Yep. Until then, we'll see you guys in a couple hours. Until then, you all know the line: Wakanda forever, long live the king, and deuces. So unfortunately, being that I'm on the PS5, I don't have my intro and outro streams, video set up, whatever. So it's just straight cut off. All right, we'll see you, folks.